All right, YouTube. So today's video we're making after some time. It's been a while since we got together, and it's an exciting time if you are a filmmaker. Two incredible cameras were announced this week, one from Canon, one from Sony. No, one from Nikon. So Sony didn't release anything, but Sigma released a new lens. So this video is about the C50 and also the Nikon ZR. The C50 and Nikon ZR are very different cameras. They offer similar things, but to a different audience. Having said that, what does this mean for Sony? Time to wake up, right? Because now you have the two big giants coming down your throat in the cinema world. Not that, Nikon has a huge presence in the cinema world. Red obviously did, which they bought because of their lawsuit, whatever they had, and now you're starting to see on the new camera, right, as the new badging. So let's take a look under the hood what we get. With the C50, it's like a baby, if you don't want to use the word, but like a baby C80, and it's actually cheaper than the Sony FX3 at $38.99. It is a pretty incredible offering for what it does, right? Dollar for dollar. It's not cheap. It's $38.99. It's $3,900. If the tariffs were on there, it would probably be about $3,400, $3,300, $3,200, whatever. Same thing with the Nikon. The new one comes in at about $2,100, which is not a bad deal, right? At face value, yes. But when you really pull the curtain back and really look, is it really the 2100? And I'm going to give you an alternative or an option to think about also if you are looking to dive into cinema. And this camera here is not here by accident because this is a true cinema production camera. This is not a mirrorless camera. It's an actual production camera that you have here that they use to make actual movies and Hollywood productions, right? This is Sony F55. It does have a global shutter in there. And a couple of things that we're going to talk about in this video are going to be very, very important. So if you are interested in these, stick around for sure, because I think some of the things will help you, especially from a filmmaking side of the house. If you're a photographer, this might get like geeky talk for a little bit, but if you're part of my channel and you want to hang out for support, do it. If you want to leave at this point, I totally get it. Go ahead and move on, and then we can talk about it, something photography related in the next video. So having said that, when we actually look at what we have here, the number one thing I think, Nikon positioned this camera as a cinema camera. It even says cinema on the back of the camera. Yet the body itself has no fans, like I can feel the fan here running right now. Number one. Number two, it has no quarter 20s like up here. You have all quarter 20s all the way through on both sides on these rails without needing a cage. So right out of the gate, when you buy this camera, you are looking at possibly getting a cage, which will cost you probably a couple $100. You're also looking at buying a microphone because it does not come with a top handle. And then the new Nikon hot shoe microphone that they came out with is like $350 or $399, whatever it is, US dollars. Might be a good option. But then you're adding another $400. Now you're at about $2,500 plus $200 for the cage. You're coming into $2,700 territory. Now, we're not done yet. You're going to need more batteries. You're going to need a V-mount plate similar to this to mount a V-mount battery to give it power if you're going to start rigging this thing. By the time you are done rigging, you will guaranteed be into the $3,500 to $4,000 range. My thing is, if you're going to spend that kind of money, why would you not just buy a cinema camera that can do all of that? Now, if you're going to fly this on a drone, if you're going to fly the ZR, the Nikon ZR on a gimbal, makes total sense because you want it totally stripped down. But you can do that with these too, because these are all modular, right? Real cinema cameras are very modular. So I said in the beginning of the video, I would give you an option. What is that option is, consider the Red Komodo 6K. It actually has a price tag of $3,000 and it's modular. It looks like a little box like this. If I take all this off, it looks like a box. And it's got quarter 20s all over the thing with a screen in the back. And that camera is only $3,000. So the red goodness. So let's talk about it there. Nikon introduced this camera under their badge, obviously tagged with red on it. Is it red goodness that is inside this, or that so-called Nikon goodness inside? Now, not a lot of Nikon fanboys and fangirls will obviously argue till, they're blue in their face because, first of all, they know nothing about filmmaking, but pretty soon, they're going to own Hollywood. They'll make you believe that in all of their, videos and the next thing that's coming out from Nikon. That's a fundamental problem because filmmaking is not the same as picking up a camera and just holding down the shutter and shooting 40 frames. Getting the color right, framing, color, you know, bit depth, all of these things matter. One thing that the ZR does is it shoots 12K, I'm sorry, for 12K, scratch that. It shoots 12-bit RAW. There was a lot of, when the announcement was made, a lot of people said, hey, it's actually, you know, could become like a B or C cam for a bigger production red camera out there. I don't think so, because those shoot 16-bit like this. It's a huge difference. Just trust me on that. I don't know who I was talking about this because I haven't watched any videos, and I did not want to watch any videos on this camera intentionally because I just wanted to go to Nikon's site and see what they had to say about it and read that rather than formulate my own, you know, opinions based on what someone said. I would have really liked to see the ZR do 3 things. And if they missed it on the ZR, they have an opportunity to do 3 things on that next one, and they better do it fast if they really want to make it big in the cinema, because I think they have a huge potential. Number one, if you start looking at this mount, is no joke like this. The Z mount that they have on the ZR, it's not designed to hold extreme heavy cinema lenses. When you get into the big red lenses, the Cook lenses, all those things, they weigh a lot. And these mounts come under a lot of stress. So these things have huge locks here with 4 big bolts on the side of it. So it would have been advantageous for Nikon to seriously look at making a mount that could be removable and you can put another mount onto it rather than using these adapters and fooling around with it. Very, very big thing. They should have done that. They should have thought about that. Secondly, the second thing, they should have actually put a cooling fan inside this thing. Made it a slightly bigger, but put a cooling fan in it. I can tell you right now, based on what it shoots right now, people will find a way to overheat the hell out of these cameras. And they will. It's just a matter of time. It's not whether it will, it's when they will, right? They will do it because they want to run and they think that this is the kind of camera they have and that they can actually totally just do these things to it. And it's the wrong thing to do. That's not what the camera is about to do. It's only a $2,100 camera, like we say, but it's really a $3,500 to $4,000 camera to really bring it up to a true cinema spec. Right? Because you got to attach things to it. It does have a nice monitor, so maybe you can get rid of the monitor. However, I'd rather have this because I have the air glue on my here, this thing, which actually had the little antennas up here, which transmit via Wi-Fi to my Mac Studio over there, whatever's being captured here. So when I am done with my shoot, I go back to the studio, it's already there. The proxy is already there. Pretty cool, right? So if you are going to do those kind of things, yeah, then the built-in monitor doesn't matter, but they put a nice 4-inch one, which is nice. That's great. I prefer to use a OLED EVF like this. It's much more, you know, accurate in what it is than most screens on the back of the camera, but it's a great gesture for $2,100. The third thing they missed is obviously these quarter 20s on top. If this was a cinema camera first, video first camera, and that's what you wanted to do, then why did you not put those quarter 20s onto the body itself? You should have done it right out of it. The camera only weighs 500 grams. If you're gonna put it into a cinema environment, I don't know. I'm sure it's good. It really makes you think. And I'll give you one bonus one. They really should have put 16-bit, but they couldn't do that until they actually had a fan in there because they know it's going to melt the camera because of its size. So these are lost opportunities where they could have charged a little bit more. I think people would have happily paid. Even people from other systems would have happily paid to do that. Now I'm going to get you the last super bonus tip on this thing is the CFast Express Type B card onto the bottom of the camera, just like they did with the Nikon Z. And then they put a micro SD right next to the battery chamber. I can tell you right now that camera is going to overheat. It's just a matter of time because those CFast Express Type B cards, hopefully they get through that. And hopefully in their next iteration of this camera or cameras, they think about that. Now let's just talk briefly about the lenses. They have red profiles inside this camera. They are mounting photography-based lenses onto a cinema body with the red profiles in there. And a lot of people think, oh wow, it's, you know, just like the red ecosystem. Is it? Right? Not really. Because when you start adapting other things, that magic deviates from the true essence of what that system is. So when you go into Netflix, you go into all of these big production houses, they have a certain look that they want. I want the look of red. I want the cooked look. That's what big productions pay for. This is something Nikon needs to think about, but they have thought about it, because if you look at that power zoom lens that they made, the 18 to I think 135 or whatever it was, it's got the gold ring on the back of it. And that gold ring paired with their Komodo series cameras, which have a gold ring for the Nikon Z mount, are mated for that purpose. Now, does this camera have that? I doubt it. But you're not paying the same amount of money either, because that camera paired with that, you know, PZ lens, the power zoom lens, is about $10,000. So I don't think you're going to get all of that. But if you truly are and you want to learn filmmaking all the way, spend your money wisely. But know that this $2,100 camera, it's not $2,100. By the time you're done, you mark my words, you will spend over $3,000 to $4,000 to truly rig it up correctly to even come close. And now you're already playing in true cinema space, where there are so many other offerings you want to do. And I strongly urge you to consider getting non-photographic lenses for your cinema work. You know, a lot of the Zeiss lenses have been made for cinema and photo. They've been around over 100 years. I think they got it right by now, right? So enough said there. But regardless of what you shoot, this is a very exciting time. And now it's time for Sony to show their true colors. Let's see what they come up with next, because now all three brands are at it, right? Some have less, some have more. Doesn't matter. They're all playing in the same space. That's the exciting part. This video is more about you spend your money wisely so you don't get caught with the bag into a system that you end up regretting and then having to sell and go into another system. If you are looking for Netflix approved cameras, is the ZR going to get Netflix approved anytime soon? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not, right? So in that space, it's Canon and Sony, obviously Red, you know, you have Blackmagic, you have many options, right? ARRI, and you know, you can just go check those out if that's the kind of level of production that you're making. But if you're not, if you're just going out there and just shooting some stuff in the park outside and just having some fun, this entire video is a moot point. You know, grab your Z lenses, knock yourself out, and call yourself a, you know, independent filmmaker. Fine, no problem. But if you really want to do this seriously and go all out, you'll start to see these things start to add up, build up, and that's how it is. So for me, a lot more DSLRs. 7D Mark II is here again. Love it. Bought one back. And a 5DSR is coming back into my arsenal one more time. So super excited to be able to rebuild my DSLR collection again, which I got rid of pennies on the dollar like a fool. So I am excited about that. So with that, like, subscribe, be nice to each other. Leave your comments below about these two cameras. What do you think? And if you're gonna pick one up, if you are, links are down below. Use them, knock yourself out, go get it. I think they both should be a pretty incredible camera, and they all are incredible offerings for the money. So with that, I'll talk to you in the next one. Thank you.